Hi everybody, and welcome to another week of Makers Monday. I am Anastasia Radloff, aka Stampin' Blondie, and I'm so excited to be with you here today for another week of live step-by-step crafting. Now I just had a little bit of a computer glitch, so I want to make sure that I am live. So if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. All right, looks like I'm good here. If you're watching on Facebook or over on YouTube, make sure to comment, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see where everybody is watching from each week. It's weird. I don't know why it was doing that, but I'm live, so we are good to go. All right, I hope you guys all had an amazing weekend. I was a little quiet on social media towards the end of last week. Many of you may know, my husband and I adopt senior dachshunds, and we give them one last good home right before, they cross the Rainbow Bridge. And on Wednesday evening, we had a health scare with one of our dachshunds. She has never had seizures before, and all of a sudden she had 3 seizures in one night. So on Thursday and Friday, I was trying to take care of her, make sure she was better, and she had to spend the night in the hospital, but luckily, she seems like she is back to her spunky little self. She's actually in here with me right now, so if you hear any kind of jingles going around in the background, she's probably walking around or snoozing somewhere. So I'm so happy that she is better. For those that shared your prayers and thoughts with her, thank you so much. It really was... it was scary. I've never had a dog that has had seizures before, so very scary, but I'm glad that the medicine that the vet provided her has helped, and so far, knock on wood, seizure free. All right. Hi, Veronica. Hello, Kathy. Hello, Kathy. We have 2 Kathys here tonight, so I hope you guys had an amazing weekend as well. Now today I'm going to be creating 3 projects featuring the Zany Zoo suite. This is from our 2023-2024 annual catalog. It is an entire 2-page spread from our catalog, so I'll show you guys that, and then we will make some projects. Now before I jump into the projects here today, I wanted to give you guys an update on Stampin' Bingo. So I posted yesterday on my Facebook page here and also in the Create with Stampin' Blondie Facebook group about Stampin' Bingo. So this is going to be my last Stampin' Bingo in Tucson before I move. So I am doing a mega Stampin' Bingo. It's actually called Mega Rockin' Stampin' Bingo. We are going to be using the rock and roll stamp set. There's going to be some fun costume contests and some other really fun thing to kind of go out with a bang for Stampin' Bingo. Now, if you aren't here in Tucson, that's all right. I'm going to be doing the same exact thing virtually on Sunday, April 21st. So no matter where you live in the United States, you can partake in Mega Rockin' Stampin' Bingo. It is a very fun. If you've never joined me for Stampin' Bingo, it's my customers' favorite event that I host. I do it 4 times a year, both in person and virtually. And you play the same amount of games no matter how you attend, and the prizes are whatever you want. And because we'll be coming up on the new annual catalog, you'll be able to pick your winnings from the new annual catalog. So I'm very, very excited about this event. It's going to be a rockin' good time. So registration for that will begin later this week, most likely this coming weekend. Those that are on my newsletter sign up receive first dibs at registration. I say that because Stampin' Bingo is my most popular event that I host. In person always sells out. I do have more seats available at this one because I have rented a location, so we have more seating, but because it's my last one, here in Tucson, it's going to sell out again. So if you are on my newsletter subscriber list, you get first dibs on registering for Stampin' Bingo. And then a few hours later, I post it on Facebook to allow those that haven't signed up to receive that notification. So make sure if you're wanting to attend Stampin' Bingo to sign up for my newsletter. The details on how to do that are in the description of this video, and you'll receive first dibs on Stampin' Bingo. So I'm very excited. In person is a Saturday, April 20th. Virtual will be Sunday, April 21st. So very fun event. If you've never attended, this is going to be the one that you want to attend. Mega rockin' Stampin' Bingo. More fun, more prizes, more bingo. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to do Prize Patrol first. I'm going to swap the camera. I don't really have any big announcements this week, so just we're going to swap the camera here. There we go. And then we'll do Prize Patrol. So last week I had mentioned during my Facebook Live that I had the song These Are a Few of My Favorite Things stuck in my head. Could not get it out of my head like all week last week and the week before. It's weird when that one song gets stuck in your head and it's just like over and over and over. So it was a 3-part Prize Patrol last week. So 3 of my favorite things. I love embellishments, and I love these because they go with a lot of projects. They can be both masculine, feminine, birthday, congratulations, really any kind of project. So you have the neutral sequins. These are the adhesive backed glitter or adhesive backed sparkle gems and the classic matte dots. So the winner of Prize Patrol from last week is Cindy Howard. So congratulations, Cindy. Thank you for sharing my video last week. All you have to do to be entered into this week's Prize Patrol is to share the video and comment that you shared, and you'll be entered into Prize Patrol. Now, Cindy, I do not have your address, so please send me a Facebook message with your information, and I will get that into the mail for you here today. All right, so we are going to create projects today featuring the Zany Zoo stamp set. Now, like I said, this is an entire suite from our catalog, so I'll show you what that looks like. It is on page 46 and 47 of the annual catalog. It is a suite because there's coordinating designer series paper, dies, and embellishments to go with this entire thing. Now, this week's Prize Patrol for sharing can be used with this item. This Prize Patrol for this week is the Old Olive and Sahara Sand Ribbon Combo Pack. So all you have to do is share this video, and then you'll be entered into these ribbons. Now this ribbon goes with these, but the best part about today's Makers Monday is that the theme is black and white with a pop of color. So the Zany Zoo designer series paper, one side is black and white designs. The other side are these really fun zoo animals. And the best part is that the dies coordinate with the designer series paper. So all you have to do is run them through the machine, and you don't even have to stamp or color because it's already done for you. So yesterday I shared, grab the card. So here's the card that I shared yesterday. This is a really fun layout. Now I have the dimensions of these strips of designer series paper on my website post from yesterday on stampinblondie.com. But a really great layout if you have a lot of scraps you need to get rid of. This is really good for Christmas time. We all have those little strips of Christmas paper from other projects we've worked on. And the best part about this is that you can mix and match designer series papers. So these longer strips here can be one pattern, the smaller strips can be a different pattern, and you can really create some fun, different layouts with these. Now they also can be kind of moved around in different ways. So like this long strip could be at the bottom while this is up here. So depending on how you want to glue down your paper is how your project is going to look. Now we have the it's called the Zoo Crew designer series paper. So the little turtle here is actually designer series paper. I didn't even have to color him. And all I did was add a happy birthday sentiment and the coordinating. It's right here in the catalog. This is the Petal Pink and is it Lemon Lime Twist. Lemon Lime Twist Duo Combo Pack. Now that is this week's embellishment of the week. So if you want these cards as a weekly class to go, you can place an order of $35 using the host code that's on the screen, and I'll send you the class kit projects. If your order is $50 or more, I'll send you a package of the 2 rolls of ribbon. They come together. So it's a really fun project. I like this little guy. He's singing, you know, some karaoke, and it's really fun with that pop of lemon lime twist on the black and white is really fun. So here is the layout, like I said, page 46 and 47 of the annual catalog. There's designer series paper, dies, and stamps and ribbon. Now, just a heads up, I do not know anything at this time. This coming week, I'll be attending Stampin' Up! On Stage event, which is a demonstrator only event in Houston, Texas, and I'll be receiving the new Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. Now, if this set is carrying over to the next catalog, it will not be offered as a bundle. So it'll be the stamps and the dies separate. So if this is on your wish list, now would be the time to get that because it's bundled and it's 10% off when it's bundled together. Now the designer series paper, I will tell you, designer series paper never carries over to new annual catalogs. So this designer series paper more than likely will retire. So definitely, if you're wanting the coordinating designer series paper and the bundle, now's the time to get that because it's still available and it's at that bundled savings. All right, our 3 projects that we're going to create today, like I said, black and white with a pop of color. So here is one project. This is Petal Pink, and I really like this little ballerina, so cute. So the sentiment, something great to celebrate you. And we also have this guy here. This is the designer series paper for the raccoon with the balloons. Another great layout for scraps. So I'll show you how to do this super easy. A great layout for scraps there as well. And then we have Granny Apple Green and Lemon Lime Twist to come together with this adorable little alligator, crocodile, you can't really tell because the snout, you don't see the whole thing, on a bicycle. So I thought that's really funny. And so we're gonna create these 3 projects here today. All right, so don't forget, each week on my website, stampinblondie.com, I have a free project PDF tutorial. It has all of the item names, numbers, the dimensions for the 3 projects that we're gonna create here today. And don't forget, there's that backside. And then details about Mega Rockin' Stampin' Bingo are on there as well. Save the date there. All right, our first project we're gonna work on is this one right here with our pool party cardstock and our scraps of paper. So in this class kit here, we have 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4 for our pool party cardstock. Hi Kay, yes, I'm excited for On Stage. I'll be there Wednesday. I leave Wednesday really early, super early. But I have the whole day to explore, so I'm gonna go to the Museum of Natural History and the Fine Art Museum with another demonstrator here from Tucson, so I'm really excited about that. I've never been to Houston before, so I definitely am gonna get some Texas barbecue. That's the one thing on my list that I have to have while I'm there, is barbecue. I love barbecue. Okay, so we have 5 strips of that designer series paper, so you can see all the different black and white images on one side. The other side is all those fun, kind of colorful animal imagery. So different styles of designer series paper scraps. I mentioned this is a great scraps project. So you can see I've got different various sizes of this designer series paper. And what I'm gonna do first is I'm just going to lay it out on my card. I don't want to glue anything down just yet. I want to make sure that my spacing is good with all of my strips of paper first. And I'm going to offset the white and the black strips to kind of create this fun little like zigzag pattern as it goes down. This is a great project for beginners. You don't have to have a lot of skill level to glue pieces of paper down to the card. And you can see right here, that's exactly why I don't want to glue anything down just yet, because I have way more space up here than I do at the bottom. So then I can kind of move my paper all around here and get it right where I want it. So there we go. So now that I have all of my paper where I want it, I'm going to start gluing these strips down. Now I'm going to use multi-purpose liquid glue, and that'll help me get it right where I want it. Give me a few seconds to kind of shift and shimmy my paper around. And we're only adding glue to 1/2 of the cardstock, or the designer series paper here. And we're just gonna work our way from the bottom to the top. North Carolina barbecue is yummy too. Now, I will admit I've never been to North Carolina. I've been to South Carolina, but I've never been to North Carolina other than like driving through it. I don't really count driving through as have been to the place. I think you have to like spend time there to be there. But I've had like Kansas City barbecue that has tried to do North Carolina barbecue. I really like the North Carolina barbecue. It's their barbecue sauce. It's kind of more like a mustardy barbecue sauce, and I really like that. All right, our last strip here, we're gonna add some glue and put that right there. And now we have our layout. Now we're just gonna flip it over, kind of rub the back to make sure it's glued down nice and tight, and then we're just gonna take our scissors and trim flush to that edge of the card. Now, depending on how long your strips of cards or your designer series paper are, you could make another card with these strips, but I'm just gonna toss them. I'm not gonna make another card. I already have 2 of this card. I don't need a 3rd one. I've pre-die cut a piece of basic black cardstock. This is the Radiating Stitches dies. It may be kind of hard to see with the dark color, but there's little like stitchery that goes down the side of this. And so this is gonna go right onto our card with liquid glue. And that'll go kind of right here. We want to see all of our designer series paper poke out. So mine is, on this card, it is a little more towards the center. This one's gonna be more towards the left because these 2 black pieces of designer series paper are just a little shorter. So we're gonna kind of move that over just to have that show there. We're gonna stamp our sentiment in tuxedo black ink, and it says, "Happy birthday to you." This is a great kids card. This is a great adults card. Really anybody would enjoy this card. This is a fun kind of, I saw somebody say it, like cheery card for all ages. So a great card for that. All right, our raccoon here. This is that designer series paper. I said I don't have to stamp him. I don't have to color it in. It's perfect. But we're gonna use the coordinating dies with this. And I have some washi tape to hold this down. You definitely want to use washi tape on this when you run it through your Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine, because if you don't use the washi tape, the die will shift and it could cut where you don't want it to. The best part about these dies, it fits in our mini machine, so I don't have to get the big machine out this week. And we just have our plates, our die, and run it through. Those crunching and cracking noises, that's normal. That's cutting the paper. And there is our little raccoon. Be careful when you lift your washi. You don't want to rip your paper. And there's easy peasy, so easy. You don't have to get out any kind of Stampin' Blends or anything for that. Now we're going to use dimensionals on the back of that. You've heard me talk about the edge of the dimensional sheets before, and these edge pieces work really well because they fit right in between where the balloon is and then down the middle of the raccoon. So it's the perfect size for that. Get these pieces out of here. Now I'm gonna add that right to the middle of our card. And I'm also going to be using on our projects today, these are the iridescent foil gems. You probably can't see very well, but they have some fun kind of gold glitter in the gems. So it's a really fun kind of all-purpose gem. And we're going to add, they come in small and large for these. We're going to add 2 of the small gems. It would help if I picked it up. 2 of the small gems to the upper right of the raccoon, and then 1 right below his tail. And there is our first project today with the Zany Zoo stamp set and the coordinating designer series paper. So really fun. Like I said, great for kids, great for kids at heart, but this is our first project here today. So I hope you guys like that one. All right. Our second project today we're going to work on is our petal pink ballerina. As soon as I saw this, I think it's a leopard, with the tutu and the point shoes, I had to go for petal pink. Petal pink is the perfect ballet color here. And for this one, we're going to kind of do a different layout than normal. Usually you have your piece of designer series paper, and this layer on here is normally centered so you could see the designer series paper all around. But I shifted it to the top just to kind of give it a different look, and then we have our sentiment going right across the front here. So petal pink cardstock, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Again, all the dimensions for these designer series papers and cardstocks and everything's on that project PDF tutorial. My dog is licking my feet. Stop it, Bailey. I'm telling you, she's so much better after her seizures because she's licking my feet. That's Bailey. That's normal for her. I'm so happy she's back to better. If you've never had a dog that has had a seizure, it is probably one of the scariest things. It's just so sad, and you know, they come out of nowhere. We were just watching TV. I like to lay on my on the couch on my side, and she was laying on my hip, and then all of a sudden I felt her shaking, and it was so scary, and there's nothing you can do. It just broke my heart, but I'm glad she is doing so much better now. Okay, we have our designer series paper that we put here. Now another piece of that black and white designer series paper, here's the other side, we're going to add to our petal pink cardstock. Now when I added this piece of designer series paper down, I used stamp and seal adhesive because I don't need a couple seconds to make sure my paper is right where I need it. But because this next piece is going to line up right with the edge of this, I want to make sure that I have a couple seconds to kind of move my paper exactly where I need it. So I'm going to use multi-purpose liquid glue. So this piece here is just going to line right up with that. If I can peel it off, just want to make sure I get it right at the top there. This is why I like liquid glue. You have those few seconds here to kind of work with it if it's not exactly where you want it. There we go. So we've got it flush against the top here, and our petal pink cardstock still kind of pops from the back. So we have our black and white with the pop of color. Courtney said our boxer suffered seizures for years, was so sad. And yes, and like when they're having them, you can't do anything. You're not supposed to pet their head in case they bite you. And I could just pet her stomach and just say, it's okay, Bailey. All right, we're gonna add our layer that we just did right to the top of our card base. So again, with that liquid glue. Now I have pre-die cut a piece of basic white cardstock. This is with the Stylish Shapes dies. And you can see here, I kind of stepped it up a little bit. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna bring in my grid paper, and we are going to use our blending brush and petal pink ink, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of color around the edge just to make it not so stark white, and I'll show you the reason why. So here is, you can see on this card with the pink, Now here it is without any kind of pink around it. See how it kind of just blends into the background of that designer series paper? So adding just that pink around the edge of the circle really makes it pop against the stark black and white. So just a simple, very simple technique really kind of steps it up and makes that image pop. And you don't want to die cut a piece of paper and then have it get lost in the background of your designer series paper. So very easy technique. Our blending brushes, they come in 2 sizes. This is the larger of the sizes. And I like to have a piece of grid paper or scrap paper underneath my project here. You swirl your blending brush in the ink pad, kind of tap it off the edge here. And that's because the brush, it has, it's curved a little. So you want to make sure that any excess ink gets tapped off. And then you're just going to lightly swirl the brush around your paper, turning the die and just kind of getting a little bit of that pop of color on your die cut. It really does make it stand out a lot more. It's very simple technique, and I just like the blending on the edge. It kind of makes it a little softer so it's not so harsh too. Now with the blending brushes, you can get as dark and detailed as you want, but I'm just doing, like I said, that soft kind of edge color here for that. So very simple, and it has a fun change of color there, and it's not just so stark, boring white sometimes. All right, we're gonna put that away. Actually, I'm gonna leave my grid paper out because we are gonna color with some Stampin' Blends. So you wanna make sure your workspace is covered when you use Stampin' Blends. But first we need to stamp our little ballerina here. We're gonna use the ballerina stamp and our tuxedo black ink. Because we're using Stampin' Blends, you want non-stinky ink with your stinky markers. So that's how you know which black to work with. Now, while I have the ink open, I'm also going to stamp my sentiment. Just a spare piece of petal pink cardstock, and the sentiment, something great to celebrate you. I'm just going to bring this a little closer so I make sure I'm in the middle of that. And now we can close up our black for now. Okay, we're just, oh, see, I told you my dogs are in here, and one of them, the newest one, doesn't like the other one very much. So, honey, you be nice. You be nice. So we are going to only color in the ballet, the tutu area. So we have petal pink Stampin' Blends. We're only going to use the dark petal pink though. These are very light markers, and the light petal pink is so light that it's barely a color, I feel like. So we're just going to use the dark petal pink to color in the little tutu here and the point shoes. And then we have our little tutu girl here. And now we can put this away for our next project. All right, to assemble, we're gonna add dimensionals to the back of our little die cut circle here. We wanna put this on first before our sentiment, just to make sure that this is kind of put on where we want it. Now we can add our sentiment. Oh my God, what was your stinky, non-stinky hint? Oh, okay, I will share stinky, non-stinky again. So we have 2 black inks. We have Versamark ink, and we have our regular, this one, Tuxedo Black Memento ink. Versamark ink has a very distinctive smell to it. I think it smells like almonds, but I call that the stinky ink. This does not have any scent to it. This is non-stinky ink. Now, when you're trying to figure out what coloring medium and what black to use, Stampin' Blends are alcohol-based markers, so they have, you know, kind of like a rubbing alcohol scent to them. So you want to use stinky markers with non-stinky ink. If you were going to watercolor with like watercolor pencils, Watercolor pencils, just regular like colored pencils, have no scent. So you would use stinky ink. So non-stinky coloring, or non-stinky black with stinky markers. Now again, I always say this is not to condone huffing your craft supplies, but when you open them up, you can smell the scent to them. So non-stinky versus stinky ink, that's how I remember which black to use with whatever coloring medium I'm gonna be using. All right, so we have, I hope that helps. That's just a fun way for me to remember what black to use with whatever coloring medium. All right, so we have our die cut circle, our sentiment on here. This is the Ribbon Duo Combo Pack. This is that embellishment of the week, Petal Pink Lemon Lime Twist. So we're gonna add our petal pink ribbon here and just tie it into a bow. And this is a really light colored ribbon, so if you wanted to, you could use your Stampin' Blends to color it, change the color of the ribbon to match whatever project you're working on. But I had to do a petal pink project, so we're gonna use petal pink ribbon. All right, this ribbon you wanna use glue dots. So I need my take your pick tool and just kind of roll that into a ball, and that's gonna go in the corner there. Now we're gonna come in with those iridescent foil gems, and 3 of the small ones, just like the previous project, 2 in the upper right, 1 lower left below her tutu. And there's our second project today, featuring the Zany Zoo bundle. Very fun. This is another great project for kids or the kids at heart. I would say this is more of a feminine project, but you can give this to whoever you want. But very fun mix of designer series paper on there as well. Oh, thank you, a perfect bow. Fun fact, when I teach my in-person class every month, everybody's like, here, will you tie my bows for me? Will you tie my bows? I'm so used to tying bows. I've tied so many bows before. I'm a bow pro. All right, our last project here is I'm gonna say this is a crocodile. So this is our crocodile riding a bicycle. So we have Granny Apple Green is our card base. Now normally when we do a card that's like this is 4 1/4 by 11. Normally this is an easel card where you have it open like this, but I turned it on its end, so we have a booklet style card. Just a fun way to kind of mix things up a little bit. Using our bone folder to crisp up our lines here. Get some of this out of the way. Now I pre-embossed a piece of Lemon Lime Twist cardstock with, this is the Basics 3D embossing folder. They come in a package of 3 and they're from the online exclusives. I put cross here because there's 3 embossing folders and they don't have names to them. They're just all called the Basics 3D embossing folders. So I put, this one is the cross, there's polka dots, and then some kind of like stars or cross. It's another pattern, but I just put cross on here. So here is, hopefully you guys can see it. There we go, a little better. It's kind of just crisscrossed on here. And so we're gonna add this to our card base with liquid glue. When I'm adding embossed pieces of paper down to cardstock, I always use liquid glue so that I can get in those creases and crevices of the paper to kind of help it adhere to the cardstock just a little bit better. All right, a piece of the Zany Zoo Crew Designer Series paper. There's the back side. You could actually, so on this piece, there is the same image that we're gonna stamp, but it's on the pattern paper and there's a die to go with it. So I could have just die cut this whole thing, but I showed you the die cut first from the Designer Series paper, then the second one we stamped, so I wanted to stamp this one too. So we are gonna add our glue here, and this is gonna go right across the front. And there we go. Again, I have pre-die cut a piece of basic white cardstock. This is the Scalloped Contours dies. Again, I didn't want to have to die cut all this stuff on to show you guys, so I already pre-die cut it. So that's that piece. The local kids dance studio is going into their dance recital. It'll be so cute. Yes, that would be a cute card for a dance recital. I think my niece is doing dance. I'll have to confirm. That would be a great card. All right, so we have the little crocodile, alligator, whatever on a bike. So we're gonna stamp that in the right corner of our scallop contours here. And that will go right there. Now we also are gonna stamp in the upper left corner the sentiment, "You're too wonderful." I wanted this to be more of a basic card. I could have added the sentiment on another die cut piece and popped it out, but I really wanted to show some simple projects where a lot of skill levels can create these. All right, we can put that away because we're done with that. We are going to color in our animal here. So we're gonna bring back in our piece of grid paper. When you're working with Stampin' Blends, you always wanna make sure your workspace is covered because they can bleed through the paper. Now this one I'll be using Granny Apple Green and Petal Pink, the same colors from our last card that we did. Granny Apple Green because it brings out the darker green from our card base. I am just going to start with the light Granny Apple Green, and I'm using the pen tip because of the scales along the back are small, so we're just gonna easily color that in. And around the eyes, you don't want to color in the teeth, so you just want to be really careful. That's why we're using that small end so you have more control of the marker. Now I'm going to switch to the brush tip because we have a larger area to color and it helps go just a little bit faster when you're using the brush end. So we got the little feet and then careful with the tail here. And there we go. Now we're going to come in with the dark Granny Apple Green marker, the pen side, and we're just gonna do some highlights. Now I didn't do any highlights on the last project because the tutu was so small, but this one I feel would goes really well with just a little touch of highlight. So what we're gonna do is take the dark marker and along the belly line we're just gonna draw a line, and that creates kind of a little dark shadow there. So just a quick way to do some contouring for the crocodile here. All right, we're gonna come in with that dark petal pink and color in these little bitty flowers that are in the basket. Now, if you really wanted to get more detailed, you could color in the bicycle, you could color in the basket, but again, the theme today is black and white with a pop of color. So we just had a little bit of color on our guy here. We're gonna add dimensionals to the back of that. This is a larger die cut, so we're gonna add one in each corner and one in the middle here. And peel all these off. That's gonna go right across the front. We're gonna use that lemon lime twist ribbon. Now this ribbon is very thin, so you don't need a lot of it to cut a bow. But it is a little more tricky to tie into a bow because it's thin. I think it's like 1/8 of an inch, but you may have to work it a few times to tie it into a bow. And then you can cut the edges at an angle. You definitely want to use a glue dot with this because it's so thin. If you try to use liquid glue on that little tiny piece of ribbon, you're gonna have glue all over your hands and your project. So a glue dot into a little ball will help it go onto your project that much easier. As the final touch, we're gonna add 2 of the iridescent foil gems, the larger size ones this time, into the upper right corner. And there is our third project today, featuring the Zany Zoo bundle with coordinating Zoo Crew Designer Series paper. So I hope you guys like this project here too. I'm gonna bring in all 3 projects, so make sure to let me know which one is your favorite this week. We have our crocodile, we have our tutu, and then our pool party raccoon with balloons. So let me know which one is your favorite. I really like the tutu, but pink is my favorite color. So of course I'm gonna be a little biased here as well. So let me know, which one do you like the most this week? All right, well, thank you everybody for joining me for another week of Makers Monday. Now, next week is gonna be a special Makers Monday as I recap all the brand new and exciting things coming in the 2024-2025 annual catalog. All 5 of our brand new in colors. I'm so excited to see those, and all the details on new and upcoming products coming to Stampin' Up! I look forward to seeing you next week, and until then, have an amazing week.